Welcome to the hidden engine room of the global economy. Most people think crime involves a gun and a ski mask, but the real crime, the one that drains trillions from the veins of society, is committed by men in $15,000 tuxedos, drinking martinis in places you will never visit. Let us start with the basics. Look at these two men walking through the prehistoric jungle of financial history. Jürgen Mossack and Ramón Fonseca. They are not just lawyers, they are the architects of a parallel reality. They begin by telling us a story about bananas and cows. It sounds like a joke, but listen closely. They are explaining the evolution of value. In the beginning, you traded a banana for a cow. It was tangible. It was real. Substance. But substance is heavy. Substance is hard to move. So humanity invented a lie. We called it credit. We called it paper money. And finally, we invented the ultimate ghost, the offshore company. Mossack, the German with the cold precision of a surgeon, and Fonseca, the poet of the dark arts, are walking us through the mechanism of separation. Note their arrogance. They are looking directly at you. They are breaking the fourth wall because they know you can't touch them. They are in a VIP lounge of immunity. They explain that money is no longer a physical thing. It is an idea, and ideas can be moved, hidden, and erased. They are telling you, right to your face, that they don't manage money. They manage secrets. Now, cut to reality. The stark, sun-drenched contrast. We leave the abstract world of high finance and land in the brutal reality of the victims. Meet Ellen and Joe Martin. They are not ghosts. They are substance. They are the people who pay taxes. They are the people who follow the rules. Look at them. Retirement age, comfortable but not rich, boarding a boat called the Ethan Allen on Lake George. It represents the American dream. Work hard, save up, and enjoy your sunset years. But the financial world does not care about your dreams. It only cares about yield. Watch the boat. It is crowded. Why? Because overcrowding maximizes revenue per trip. It is a simple efficiency equation. The captain steers, the passengers laugh. It is arguably the last moment of innocence in this entire story. Ellen and Joe are sitting there, perhaps talking about their grandkids, completely unaware that they are floating on a bubble of regulatory negligence. And then, at 7 minutes and 10 seconds, gravity collects its debt.
Oh my God! Oh my God! A boat went over the Ethan Allen just outside of Green Harbor.
A wave? A wake from another boat? No. That is the narrative explanation. The audit explanation is a failure of physics meeting a failure of compliance. The boat tilts. Panic. The glass shatters. The world turns sideways. This is the moment the liability is created. In the ledger of the universe, a debt has just been incurred. Someone has to pay for these lives. Joe doesn't make it. The screen goes dark, and then we see the aftermath, the shock, the grief. Ellen Martin is now a widow. But notice what happens next. She doesn't just cry, she asks questions. And this is the most dangerous thing a victim can do in the world of shadow finance. She expects the insurance company to pay. She expects the system to work. She expects justice. What she doesn't know, and what we are about to discover, is that the insurance company supposed to cover this accident is not a building with people in it. It is a piece of paper in a filing cabinet on an island she has never heard of. The tragedy on Lake George is not just an accident. It is a loose thread. And when Ellen Martin starts pulling on this thread, she isn't just looking for a settlement check. She is about to unravel a sweater knitted with fraud, bribery, and the cynical genius of the two men in tuxedos we met at the start. The boat sank in New York, but the crime scene is everywhere. Let us follow the paper trail. After the funeral, after the tears, Ellen Martin enters the second circle of hell, the bureaucracy of grief. She goes to the boat company, expecting a settlement, a check, something to acknowledge that a life was taken due to negligence. But instead of a check, she gets an excuse. The boat company owner, Matthew Quirk, is bankrupt. He points a shaking finger at his insurance broker. The broker points a finger at the insurance company, and the insurance company points a finger at a mysterious entity called United Reinsurance Group. Pause here. This is a critical financial concept that usually bores people to death, which is exactly why criminals love it. Reinsurance. It sounds technical, but it is simple. It is insurance for insurance companies. When a claim is too big, like a boat sinking with 20 people on board, the local insurer calls their big brother, the reinsurer, to pay the bill. It is supposed to be a safety net, but in this case, the safety net was made of smoke. United Reinsurance Group. The name sounds solid. It sounds like a skyscraper in London or Zurich with marble floors and serious men in suits. But when Ellen Martin's lawyer tries to serve them a subpoena, they don't find a skyscraper. They find a P.O. box on the island of Nevis, a tiny speck in the Caribbean. No employees, no office, no assets, just a mailing address shared by 2,000 other companies. This is the shell game. And this is where our tour guides, Mossack and Fonseca, return to the stage to explain the mechanism. They tell us that to hide money, you don't dig a hole in the ground, you build a maze. You create a company, that owns a trust, that is managed by a foundation, which is registered in a jurisdiction where asking questions is illegal. Watch as they explain the role of the nominee director. This is one of the most cynical inventions in financial history. Let's say you are a drug lord, or a corrupt politician, or just a tax evader. You cannot sign the papers yourself. Your name is toxic. So you hire a nominee, a face, a human rubber stamp. In the movie, we meet a specific character based on a real person, Malchus Irvin Bonkamper. In reality, Bonkamper was a low-level employee living in a modest house. But on paper? On paper, he was a titan of industry. He was the director of thousands of companies. He sat on the boards of oil firms, shipping conglomerates, and real estate holdings. Did he make decisions for these billions of dollars? No. He signed his name over and over again for a few $100s a pop. He is the human shield. If the FBI comes knocking, they find him. They don't find the Russian oligarch standing in the shadows behind him. Ellen Martin doesn't care about these mechanics yet. She just wants to know why her husband's life is worth $0. She travels to Nevis. She physically goes to the address of United Reinsurance Group. Think about the absurdity of this. A widow from Middle America walking down a dusty street in the Caribbean, looking for a corporation that only exists in a computer server in Panama. When she gets there, she finds nothing, just a closed door. This is the corporate veil. In law, a corporation is a legal person. It has rights. It can sue and be sued. But unlike a real person, it cannot go to jail. It cannot feel shame. And if it gets into too much trouble, you can simply kill it, declare bankruptcy, and start a new one 5 minutes later. United Reinsurance Group was collecting premiums, real cash, from the boat company for years. Where did that money go? It didn't stay in the company to pay claims. It was immediately transferred out as management fees or consulting costs to another shell company, and then another, until it landed safely in a trust account that no court in the United States could touch. It is a one-way valve. Money flows in, liability stays out. This is not a bug in the system. This is the system. The loophole isn't an accident. It is a product feature sold by firms like Mossack Fonseca. They sell secrecy as a commodity, and business is booming. While Ellen Martin is hitting a brick wall in the Caribbean, let us travel across the ocean to see how the winners of this game operate. If the shell company is the vehicle, then what we are about to discuss is the fuel. Welcome to the world of bearer shares. To understand this, we need to look at a different story within the movie. We meet a wealthy African billionaire, Charles, who is having a little problem. He has been caught having an affair by his daughter. In a normal world, this is a family drama. In the world of the 0.1%, this is a financial transaction. He needs to buy her silence, but he cannot write her a check. A check leaves a record. A wire transfer creates a suspicious activity report, or SAR. He needs to transfer value without transferring identity. Enter the bearer share. Mossack and Fonseca love this tool. It is their masterpiece. In the normal world, when you own stock in a company, your name is written in a digital registry. You are a registered owner. But a bearer share is different. It is a physical piece of paper, and the rule is medieval in its simplicity. He who holds the paper owns the company. There is no name on it, no digital footprint. It is exactly like a $20 bill. If you have it in your pocket, it is yours. If you drop it on the street and someone else picks it up, it is theirs. In the movie, we see the billionaire hand his daughter a certificate. It looks like a diploma, but that piece of paper represents a shell company worth $20 million. The moment she touches it, she is the owner. No lawyers were called. No banks were notified. No taxes were paid. $20 million just changed hands in a hotel room, and the global financial system didn't feel a tremor. This is the ultimate tool for bribery and money laundering. Imagine you are a defense contractor and you want to bribe a general to buy your fighter jets. You don't hand him a suitcase of cash. That is too heavy and too obvious. You hand him a bearer share for a company that owns a luxury condo in London. The general puts the paper in his briefcase. He now owns the condo. Later, he sells the company by handing the paper to someone else, or he simply lives in the condo. If the police raid the land registry office, they see the owner is Blue Sky Limited. They don't see the general's name. They hit a dead end. This mechanism was so effective, so dangerously opaque, that even the United States eventually tried to kill it. After 9/11, the idea of terrorists moving money this easily became a national security threat. Most jurisdictions have now banned or severely restricted bearer shares. But in the time period of our movie, and in the dark corners of the offshore world, they were the currency of corruption. But there is a catch. There is always a catch. Because these shares are physical objects, they are vulnerable to the physical world. They can be stolen, they can be lost, or, as we see in the movie's twisted plot, they can be leveraged. The daughter accepts the bribe, but she is young and naive. She doesn't understand that holding the paper is only half the battle. You also have to trust the people who issued it. And this brings us back to the central theme of Mossack Fonseca's operation: trust. It is ironic. An industry built on lying to the government relies entirely on criminals trusting each other. If I give you a bearer share, I have to trust you won't blackmail me. If you accept it, you have to trust the company actually has assets in it. It is an ecosystem of honor among thieves. Mossack and Fonseca made millions by being the custodians of this trust. They kept the papers safe. They kept the secrets locked away until they didn't. Because in the digital age, paper is obsolete, and secrets have a nasty habit of leaking. The billionaire thinks he has solved his problem with a piece of paper. He is wrong. He has just created a paper trail that will eventually lead right back to him when the dam breaks. The end of Mossack Fonseca did not come from a SWAT team kicking down the door. It did not come from a judge's gavel. It came from a simple, anonymous message sent to a German newspaper, the Süddeutsche Zeitung. The message was short, cryptic, and terrifyingly calm. Hello, this is John Doe. Interested in data? This is the turning point. In the movie, the chaos begins to mount. But in the real world, this was the start of the largest data forensic operation in history. John Doe did not ask for money. He, or she, or they, asked for only one thing: encryption. Why? Because the data they were about to upload would expose heads of state, drug cartels, and billionaires. It was a death sentence in digital form. Let's look at the materiality of this leak. We are talking about 2.6 terabytes of data, 11.5 million documents. To put that in perspective, if you printed it out, the stack of paper would be higher than the skyscrapers Mossack and Fonseca claimed to operate from. It covered 40 years of operations: emails, PDF contracts, passport scans, bank statements. It was the complete, unedited nervous system of the offshore world. And here is the most ironic part of the audit. How did this happen? How did a firm that managed the secrets of the world's most powerful people get hacked? Was it a Mission Impossible laser heist? Number. It was negligence. Pure, cheap negligence. Forensic analysis later revealed that Mossack Fonseca's client portal was running on a 3-year-old version of Drupal. Their email server was outdated. Their website had a vulnerability in a simple image slider plugin. They spent millions on lawyers to protect their clients, but they wouldn't spend $50 to update their software. In the film, we see the panic set in. The phones start ringing. The denial phase begins. Mossack and Fonseca try to frame this as an attack on privacy. They claim they are the victims. They issue statements saying, "We have not been charged with any crime." And technically, under Panamanian law at the time, they were right. They were operating in the gray zone they helped build. But the court of public opinion does not care about technicalities. The ICIJ, the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, did something brilliant. They didn't just dump the data, they shared it. 400 journalists from 80 countries worked in secret for a year. They built a search engine for crime. They connected the dots. They found the cellist who held millions for Vladimir Putin. They found the Prime Minister of Iceland hiding assets in the Caribbean while his country's banks collapsed. When the story finally broke, it was a synchronized global explosion. In the movie, this is portrayed as the walls closing in. The illusion of control shatters. The parallel reality that Mossack and Fonseca built suddenly merged with our reality. The veil was pierced. And what did we see behind it? We saw that the emperor had no clothes, but he had a lot of shell companies. Ellen Martin, our fictional widow, finally gets her answer. It wasn't just bad luck that denied her insurance claim. It was a global infrastructure designed to deny liability. The leak proved that United Reinsurance Group was just one node in a cancer that had metastasized across the entire global economy. The system didn't fail. The system was working exactly as designed until someone turned on the lights. So, how does the story end? In a Hollywood movie, the bad guys would go to jail and the widow would get her money. But this is not a movie. This is a financial audit. And in the world of high finance, the ending is never that clean. Mossack Fonseca, the firm that once seemed untouchable, did shut down. The leak was fatal to their reputation, which was their only real asset. In the film, we see them arrested. We see the chaos. But let us look at the real timeline, the one that happened after the credits rolled. Ramón Fonseca died in May 2024 while waiting for a verdict. He never spent significant time in a real prison cell. And Jürgen Mossack? In June 2024, a Panamanian court acquitted him of money laundering charges related to the Lava Jato scandal. The judge ruled that the evidence was not sufficient. The man who helped hide billions walked away free. Why? Because as they said in the beginning, they didn't break the laws, they wrote the laws. But the ultimate irony, the punchline that Meryl Streep delivers in the film's final moments, is about geography. Where did the money go after Panama fell? Did it go back to the tax authorities? No. It migrated. Like a flock of birds sensing a storm, the capital flew north. The new tax havens are not tropical islands. They are landlocked American states: Delaware, Nevada, Wyoming, South Dakota. The United States, the country that prosecuted Mossack Fonseca, is now one of the biggest secrecy jurisdictions on earth. You don't need a Panamanian lawyer anymore. You can open a shell company in Reno, Nevada, with less identification than you need to get a library card. In the final scene, Meryl Streep strips away her character. She removes the wig, the glasses, the fake padding. She transforms from Ellen Martin back into herself, and finally, she assumes the pose of the Statue of Liberty. It is a powerful visual metaphor. She is telling us that the system of secrecy is not an external enemy. It is us. It is built into the very fabric of our economy, our pension funds, and our political donations. The Laundromat is a comedy, yes, but the joke is on us. The leak exposed the truth, but it didn't cure the disease. It just forced the virus to mutate. The shell companies have new names. The directors have new faces. And the money? The money is still hiding in plain sight, perhaps in a trust fund right down the street from where you live. This concludes our audit of the Laundromat. The file is closed, but the transaction is still pending.